Good morning, learners. Good morning, all viewers at home. I'm U Dlulane. I'll be presenting mathematical literacy. I'm a teacher at Bulamazibuko High School in Tanzania, and I've been chosen as one of the lead teachers for the province. The topic I'll be dealing with today is percentages and their applications. The reason for me to choose the topic was because this topic is applicable to all topics in Maths Lit. The topics in Maths Lit which are finance, measurement, maps and plans, data handling, and probability. So there will be application of percentages. As I'm going through the lesson, I'll be mentioning the application in the different topics. What's important about the percentages is for you to understand that when you have just numbers, let's say you have 6 over 10, you have 25 over 75. Let's say these are your test scores which you got in a test. You have got 80 over 90. You have got 30 over 90. By just looking at those numbers, you cannot be sure in which test have you performed the best. And the best way to compare numbers is to use percentages. Percentage means now that you are changing all the totals to be 100. And as I was saying, you have to change all the numbers to have a total of 100. And the best way to do that is you have what you got out of the total and you multiply by 100. And then if you do that, you can be able now to do a comparison. Like the first one, you will get your 60%. And then if you are 25 over 75, if you multiply that by 100, you will get which percentage now? 25 over 100. 25 over 75, I think it is 33.3%. And then 30 over 90, it's also 33.3%. So now, if you had just looked at those, you wouldn't be able to see that those give you equal percentages. So it is just an easier way of comparing numbers. Even with pass rates, let's say you had a class of 12, let's say in physical sciences, 8 out of 12 learners passed in your class, and in another class, 76 out of 80 passed. And in another one, 96 out of 100 passed. And can you see that in all those classes, it's only 4 learners which passed? But if you change them to a percentage by multiplying all those by 100, you will find that the one which had 8 out of 12, the percentage pass is 66.7%, and this one is 95%, and the other one is 96%. So meaning, really, comparing using percentages, it gives an interesting way of comparing numbers, though it may be deceiving because some people may say in all those classes 4 learners failed. But now if you come to reality of comparing them using percentages, you can actually see the difference in those percentages. Then now, we are saying a percentage is giving you a total of 100. And I've just said you apply percentages in different scenarios. I'll explain one way where you apply. Like, for instance, if you are using a pie chart, the pie chart now is part of a section known as data handling. If you have got a pie chart, it's in the form of a circle and it has some pieces. And now the pie chart may be represented in the form of the percentages. So now there, if that piece is 20%, that piece is 100%, that 30%, and that piece is also 20%. Then you may be asked now to calculate the other one. So now it means you will just, because I've just said the total of a percentage is always 100, to get now the part which is not given, you will just have your 100% minus the sum of all those. And then that is how you will get the missing part of your pie chart. So it's 30, 40, 50, so that part is 30%. Then, in that application of percentages, you can be given maybe the total number of people which are represented in a pie chart. Let's say this part of the pie was not given, and then you are given that the total number of people, maybe it is 8,500. And then you are told that, okay, the 20% is people from Limpopo, 30% is people from Northwest, 20% is people from the Eastern Cape. If now the sample you are talking about is representing those particular 4 provinces, it means now the total will be 100%, and then to calculate the number for those, it will now be the 30% which you have calculated multiplied by the 8,500. Okay. I've mentioned that the percentage is representing, the total is 100%. In some cases, you may not be asked directly. Like, for instance, you may be told that there are 750 learners in a school, of which 40% are boys. You are told that 40% of those are boys. The question can just be, how many girls are in that school? You are told that you have got 750 learners, 40% are boys. But now, the examiner does not lead you. He just asks how many girls. But because now you know that if the whole school is represented as a percentage, it's representing 100%. So it means now your girls will be 100% minus 40%. So it means now the girls are represented by 60%. Percentage is always out of 100. So when you are writing the percentage, you always say 60 over 100. Then you will multiply by the number to get now the number of girls. Can you tell me how many girls are there? Class? 100? 450 girls. And you can see now that the girls, the information about the girls was just for you to be able to interpret that when you are given 100% and the 40% is for boys. If now this school has boys and girls, the total is 100%, and then you can be able from that to know how many. Then, the other application of percentages is when now the government is announcing increases on salaries, they use percentages. Imagine in your home if you had workers, one getting 100 rands, the other one getting 200 rands, and the other one getting 300 rands. Let's say you just said, I will increase all of your salaries by 100 rands. So it means, if you just say by 100 rands, it means this one will get 200 rands, that one will get 300 rands, and that one will get 400 rands. And then when you are comparing, really, it is not fair, because the one who was earning 100 rands, the money is actually doubled. So now when you have to increase, you use percentages, because using percentages to increase, at least we'll have a fair distribution of how you are doing the increase. So we use the percentages to increase. So increasing using percentages. Okay? want to increase using a percentage, what we are increasing, we take it to represent 100%. And then, let me make an example to say, what do you do with the percentage you are to increase with? Let's say a person is earning 15,000 rands, and now you have been told that the salary is to be increased by 15%, is to be increased. Okay, let's not make 15%. Let's say it will be increased by 8.5%. Then how much will he get after the increase? After increase? Okay. It's very important to use the method I am going to show you, because with this method, it makes you to remember how to work backwards when you have increased. So now you have 100% representing your salary. It will be plus 8.5%, which is representing the increment. Then you will have your 15,000 increased by 108.5. Percentage means out of 100. And the money now which you will be getting after the increment will be 16,275. I think 16,275. 15,000. Then this method helps you because in an examination, most of the time, in fact, in all exams, there will be a question which is asking you to work backwards. You will be told that, okay, this person is earning 16,275 after an increment of 8.5%. Then we'll be asked, how much was the person earning before the increment? When working backwards, you always do the opposite of what you did when you were working forwards. So now you had multiplied by 108.5%. So when you want now to work backwards, you do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. And you will remember in grade 10 when you did fractions that when you are dividing with a fraction, you invert the fraction. So now it means when working backwards, it will be 16,275 multiplied by 100 divided by 108.5. And it will give you back that 15,000. This will always be in an exam, and it also applies when we are talking about VAT. We've got another application. We have what is VAT inclusive. Because what is different between the Maths and Maths Lit is because with Maths Lit, we talk about real life situations. We apply numbers in real life. We need to be able to know how to do calculations which matter in real life. So we have VAT inclusive and we have VAT exclusive. Then a question may be given to a learner to say, you go to a store and you buy goods worth 650, including 15% VAT. One other important thing with Maths Lit is because it's dynamic, it's going with the times, and every time we use what is current. Because we know that that used to be 14%, but now it has been changed to 15%. Then, that is 650 including 15% VAT. The question they normally ask is, how much is VAT? Learners always make a mistake when it is saying 650 including 15% VAT, they make a mistake of calculating the 15% of 650. But now that 650, it's saying it's already including VAT. So you cannot calculate 15% on something which already has VAT. So now it means you have to work backwards. So before you can calculate how much VAT, you have to apply the method I have just mentioned when you are working backwards using a percentage. Okay, when you are increasing, I said you take the percentage you are increasing with and add it to 100. So it means when you were increasing, you multiplied by 115%. So it means now when you want to work backwards, you will multiply by 100 and divide by 115, and then your answer will be 122. Okay, that is your answer. Okay, but now the question was asking how much is that? There are two methods which you can do there. So what you can do is you can either, so we've got method 1 and we've got method 2. In method 1, what you can do, you can say your VAT will be 650 minus 565,22. Or you can say 565,22. Now you can get the 15% of that. So there are two methods which we can use. And then now you can get that your VAT is 650. And in both cases, your VAT will what? 84? 84,78. And then in both cases, you will get the same answer. So that is very, very important for you learners to remember. How do you calculate when you have been asked? The question can end where they are asking how much is the amount without that. You just have to multiply by 100 and divide by 115. But now if they are asking how much is that, after you have worked backwards to get the amount without that, then you can either subtract or multiply it by 15%. Then, with percentage decrease, you will decrease when you are having a discount. You will decrease when something you are told that, okay, it is so much percentage less than something else. Let's say now you go to a store and you are told that there is a pair of jeans which was 650 rands. And then this is supposed to be less 5%. And then you need to know how much is that after the discount. So now when working backwards now, you take once more what you are decreasing to be 100%. You take it to be 100%. And then now, the difference you do is you will now subtract the 5% from 100%, and then you will have 95%. Then now what you do, you will multiply the amount. Now you multiply it by 95 over 100, which is 95%, and you exactly get the answer, which will be? Okay. And then it's 670,5, but 610, ne? Okay. One other thing I want to mention, now that you get 617,5, money is supposed to have 2 decimals. So whenever there is 1 digit after the comma, you add a 0 because it's always supposed to be 2 decimals. And then once more, with percentage decrease, when you need to work backwards, you will do the opposite. You will have 617,50 now multiplied by 100 over 95. And then you go exactly back to 650. Okay. What is important once more is to know that you will have different applications of that. And the one thing I can think of now is for the next topic, or the topic which we'll be doing after about 3 days, where now you are talking of an income. Ne? And with this income, you are told that this income is including 7.5% pension. And then pension is non-taxable. So now when you need to calculate taxable income, I am mentioning this so that you can understand that when we are doing that section on tax, when I was explaining percentage decrease, it's exactly what you will do when you are calculating the taxable income. Because the taxable income is supposed to be your income less your pension. So now it means if you have an income, you will have an income. And then because the tax now, the pension is 7.5%, and I told you that when you are decreasing with a percentage, you subtract the percentage you are decreasing with from 100. So it means now to get a taxable income from an income which was including pension, you will just have your income now multiplied by 92.5%. 92.5% was it's 92 over 100. Okay? Percentages are very important. Like now we are at a stage with a coronavirus. There are learners which have a problem of doing the actual calculation of a percentage. You will be given a scenario and you will be asked, like for instance, to do a calculation of percentage. Let's say now you are told that, okay, in South Africa, there are 402 cases which have been infected. Asked to calculate the percentage. So it will be the number of your cases over, if you want, it depends on what is asked. They can be asked to calculate the number, the percentage of those which are infected out of those which have been tested. It can be a percentage of those infected as a percentage of the number of the population of South Africa. So that is very important when you are doing a percentage, to know what are you actually supposed to calculate. So now, if it's the number of cases, the percentage of the number of cases out of those which have been tested, it will be the number of cases over total number tested. Total number tested times 100. Sometimes in an exam, they will give you as a formula, and in the formula, they include 100, they include the percentage sign, which sometimes is very confusing to learners. Because when I was explaining percentage, I said, when you have 25%, it means 25 over 100. So some learners, when they are given a formula like this, they've got a tendency of saying, multiply by 100 over 100, and they end up multiplying by 1. Learners, you must always know, For calculating percentage, you multiply by 100 because you want your total to be 100. This percentage sign there is just a unit which you carry over to the answer. This must not confuse you. We've always been arguing about this percentage sign which is included in the formula. But always remember, to calculate a percentage, you just multiply by 100. Okay? Then, the next application of percentages is for loans, that is in finance, though I have mentioned that percentages don't only apply to finance, as I have mentioned data handling in the pie chart, but we use percentages when we're talking about inflation rates, when we're talking about interest rates, but today I'm going to mention them in a context of interest rates. When, for instance, you have borrowed some money, what you need to know with MathSlit is there are things which you need to be able to explain and define. Like if we are talking of interest, I've got two types of interest. I've got what is known as simple interest and we've got what is known as compound interest. I am making an example here because this is an application of percentages. Because whenever we are talking about interest, we have what is known as interest rate, and interest rate is represented in the form of a percentage. Whenever you are asked about interest rate, you must know that it's a value in the form of a percentage. And then, what is also important with this interest rate is that it is an annual interest rate is charged per year. Then, you need to know the difference between the two. Simple interest is purely, let's say you invest or you borrow 1,000 rands. And then you are told that, okay, this 1,000 rands, you are going to pay an additional 10% once you bring it back. And then also on compound interest, you borrow 1,000 rands. And again, you are told that you are going to be bringing back with an interest rate. Let's say, for argument's sake, in both cases, the interest rate is 10%. The difference between simple and compound interest is, with simple interest, every year, the amount which is charged, 10% is 1,000 rands. But with compound interest, every year, you charge the 10% on the amount plus interest which has been accumulated. That is the difference between compound and simple interest. And then compound interest is what is real. In reality, everything is increasing in a compound fashion. But you must know that, okay, I mentioned that it is annual. If you are having simple interest, you are going to be asked, okay, how much will you be having after, let's say, 3 years? Let's look at the simple interest. With simple interest, you can purely say, okay, it is 1,000 rand multiplied by your 10%. And then, because it is always on the 1,000 rands, what you can do is, you can just multiply it by 3. What is important though here is that this is supposed to be in the form of years. You need to multiply because I've mentioned that the interest rate is an annual thing. And then when you are multiplying, you need to multiply by years. So now let's say you have been asked to calculate it for 33 months. It means now, for this part, which is number of years, you have to divide the 33 months by 12 to get the number of years. Okay, simple interest is straightforward, and then we're going to look on the compound increase, because as I have mentioned, in reality, almost everything is increasing in a compound fashion. Okay? Let's say the question now is that you have borrowed 15,000 rands. Okay? You have borrowed 15,000 rands. And then the 15,000 rands, you have been told that borrowed 15,000 rand at an institution which is offering 8.5%. I use 8.5% because we have increased using 8.5%, so it's something familiar which I've done already. Offering 8.5% compounded. That will be mentioned if it is compound interest or compound interest, compounded annually. Okay, for 3 years. Okay. You can be asked the question of, okay, how much will it be after this period? After 3 years? Or they can further say, how much is interest? I need to mention something. We've got so many learners who are from mathematics and now doing mathematical literacy. And I felt that it's very important today to mention, more especially to them, that we do not use formulas. When I was watching the maths class lesson, I noticed that on finance they've got some formulas. And those learners who are from maths will be used to using formulas, and we do not use formulas. The reason being, maths lit, I said, it's something which you need to understand and be able to use in real life situations. So now you need to be able to understand when it is saying compound interest that, okay, you have this amount which has been increased, and then on top of that you also increase. So it means it is your amount plus interest, and you increase on top of the amount plus interest. So it means when you are dealing with this one, I said, what you do is you take what you are increasing to be 100%, then the percentage will be increasing with, you add it to that one, and it means now you will have 108.5%, and that is what you are going to use. You divide your answer into steps. You do your year one. For your year one, you take your amount, which is 15,000. You increase it using the formula I mentioned, using the method I mentioned earlier on, where you will multiply by the amount with interest. And you will get your, for the first year, you get your 16,275. Then, what you do in NetSuite is, for the second step, you will have your year two. Then you take your 16,275 and you increase it furthermore, because now you have got your amount with interest. But you have been told that for all these 3 years, it is increasing by 8.5%, but I mentioned that the interest rate is annual. So it means per year you increase by 8.5%. The only thing is you increase on top of what was already there. So you will once more multiply by 108.5 over 100. And then now your answer will be 17658, comma 37. That is the third number because I want to mention 375. Okay, 375. Then, one other important thing with NetSuite is if you need to carry on with your answer, you do not round within steps. You will only round on your last or final step. You just write your numbers as they are, as long as you have not finished your answer. And then you will have now your year 3, then you take that value because it is always interest on top of what was already there. And then once more you multiply by 108.5 over 100. And then it's then that you will end up now with a rounded answer which is 19159.3. Learners, there are soft marks which you lose. The marks on rounding. There are people who always have a problem with rounding. And sometimes they're taken as people who will explain simple things, but really there are learners who are using marks on rounding. I want to mention that when you are rounding to two decimals, you will look at the third number after the comma, and if the number after the comma, the third one, is 5 or above, the number changes to a 1, and that one you add to the second number. You must always remember that because there are learners which will lose marks on rounding. So please don't lose marks on rounding. With this compound, okay, the other question was how much interest now do you pay? So the amount which we finally got is the amount with interest. So now when you want to calculate interest, so the interest will be the original amount, so that is your 15,000 minus your final amount, so the amount after the third year. So read your questions carefully. You need to be able to read because mathematical literacy is a combination of numbers and language. So you need to be able to do reading. You need to be able to understand what you are asked about. So you need to take note of those. Then, with compound increase, what they do sometimes is they will just ask you about months. Sorry, that is the final amount. Yes, minus for it. I am not making a formula, people, but what I wanted just to show is the difference. That's what you get. This is the difference. And with NetSuite, I always tell learners that you must always get used to subtracting the smaller number from the bigger number. Even when you are going to do a percentage increase or percentage decrease, rather subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. And if it had decreased, rather mention 5% decrease. Because most of the learners in NetSuite don't have any value of numbers. They don't actually understand the differences between a negative and a positive value. Then, you can be asked, now instead, okay, let's do the same question, but now say, you have borrowed that amount for 28 months. It's the same compound interest, which is 8.5%, but now it is for 28 months. When you first are given months, make it a point that you know how many 12s are in that number. So now your 28 is made of 12 and a 12 and a 4. So it means now you have got a full year and a full year and some months. So now if the interest rate was 8.5, for a full year there it will be 8.5%. Therefore, for your year one, you will multiply by 108.5% for the first year. For the second year, you will have your answer. Since once more it's a full year, you multiply once more your answer by 108.5%. That is what you do. Then for the final year, when a year is not full, you have to get the interest rate for those months. How do you get the interest rate for the months? It will be months divided by 12 multiplied by rate. So it means for the last year now, because your year is not a full year, you will not use 8.5%. Instead, you will use 4 over 12 multiplied by 8.5. And I think that will give you 2.83%. Then it means on the final year now, because that's what you always miss, because you normally forget that after you have calculated this rate, you continue with the same method. So you add that to 100% and you will have 102.83%. So it means the answer for your second year now will be multiplied by 102.83%. Then what I want you to do, learners, is you can at your own spare time have somebody who has borrowed 25,000 rands at an interest rate of 7.5% for a period of 33 months. You must know that one other thing is, in Mathslit we have our questions in the form of a story. So it will be written the full story that this particular person is earning 25,000 rands, is borrowing 25,000 rands at an institution, which is saying the interest rate is 7.5% per annum, and it will be for a period of 33 months. And take into consideration what I have told you, that if now your year is not full, you have to calculate now the interest rate for those months by saying months over 12 multiplied by the interest rates. One other important application of percentages, which will always be in the paper, it is percentage increase or percentage decrease. You are going to be given a scenario. Let's say you are told that in a school, in 2011, in a school, there were 750 learners. And then in 2012, in this school, there were 785 learners. And then they will say, sometimes they will not indicate or ask it as percentage increase. They will just ask, what is the percentage change in the number of learners? Whenever you are calculating the percentage change, it will always be the difference between the values over the years over the original one, the first one, and then it will be multiplied by 100. Therefore, in this case, we will have 785 minus 750. So it was 50. minus 750, divide by 750 multiplied by 100, and then you will get your percentage. When I was talking about values of a negative and positive, that's what I meant, because learners have a tendency of thinking with percentage increase, it's supposed to be over the smaller value. It is not over the smaller value, but it is always from the original one. So what is the percentage there? 4,446%. 4,46%. The percentages, as I have mentioned, they apply right through the topics. There can be a scenario now where you are given a rectangle. Ne? Then with this rectangle, they give you dimensions. They say this side is 4 meters. And they will say the other side is 15% less than length. Yeah? So before you can start calculations now, you have to calculate your own dimensions. But now you are calculating your own dimensions using your understanding of percentages. Now if it's less than, it's 15% less, so it means from your 100 you have minus 15. Then you have 85% of what? Of 4. Okay? Which is 3,4 meters. 3,4 meters. I'm trying to show you how many questions can be asked with percentages. How many questions? Different questions. One other question which is very familiar is when you are budgeting for a holiday. And I'll do that question, the last question there. So you have a couple with 2 children aged 12 and 18, going for a holiday. They check in on Friday and check out on Monday. Then we are told that accommodation is 650 per person. Per person 18 years and older. And then 80% of the amount for those younger than 18. How much will they pay for accommodation? This is what I wanted to show you, that with NetSuite, it will be a story. But now, when you are given a story, as you can see here, okay, you have something which is written as a percentage, but there is a story. In your story for NetSuite, you need to look at the key words which you need to understand. They say there is a couple. So you need to know, okay, if it's a couple, it means there are 2 people. You go further with 2 children. Okay, the other one is 12, the other one is 18. Okay? Going for a holiday. They check in on Friday. With NetSuite, one other disadvantage for most of the learners is there is going to be context which is not familiar. Because like there are learners who have never checked in into a hotel, who do not understand what checking in on Friday and checking out on Monday. But okay, for your information, you pay for a hotel for the evenings or the nights you sleep. So it means if you are checking in on Friday and checking out on Monday, you sleep on Friday, you sleep on Saturday, you sleep on Sunday. So that is 3 days. What I'm trying to show you is, whenever you are given a scenario, you have to make your own notes so that they can lead you on how to answer the question. Okay? Accommodation is 650 per person, 18 years and older. So it means you have how many people who will be paying 650? The couple and the 18-year-old. So now you have got 3 people who are paying 650 and they are paying for 3 days. So that is the accommodation for the 3 people. And then the ones 18 years and older, of the amount is 6 rand per person, 18 years and older, and 80% of amount for those younger than 18. Now I am not mentioning increase by a percentage or decrease, but I'm saying 80% of the amount. And you must remember that off means multiply. It means simply multiply. So when you are translating it, you just 80% of is multiplied by 650. Then it will be the amount now for one person. Okay, that one is 5,850. Okay, 80% of 650? 520, and it will be for 3 days. And then it will be 1,560. And then the total amount for accommodation will be the sum 5,880 plus 1,560. Okay? 7,410. And then in conclusion, in maths lit, there are some keywords which you need to look at. They will ask you, okay, now you have mastered percentages, but they will ask you, okay, what is the difference in the amount of so and so? So whenever they are asking about the difference, after you have done all the calculations, you will subtract. They will ask you about what is the total amount. When they're saying total, it means after you have done everything, you add up everything. Otherwise, once also immensely is about doing calculations, it's about practicing, and more importantly, it's about being able to read and interpret questions. I'll be able to see you tomorrow where we'll be doing ratios and proportions and their applications. And these basic principles are very important because they can be applied right across the topics of maths lit. They are not only dealing with